You're live.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's great to see everybody here. Wonderful turnout. Today is Tuesday, February the 8th, and we have a really special evening lined up. First, I would like to introduce Pastor Harvey Leggett, who is the pastor at Broadway Baptist Church. If we would all rise and remove our hats, and Pastor Harvey is going to lead us into prayer tonight, and we'll get the evening started, and then we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor?
Okay, let's stand. If we just today can just do the Lord's or the model prayer together. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Amen. God bless you. Thank you very much.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I hope as you walked in tonight, you were able to notice that standing on a tripod right as you come into the entrance is a painting that was commissioned depicting a future park recognizing the contributions and significance of the Underground Railroad that was conducted here in Madison and across the state of Indiana. The bust has already been made. It's a bronze bust, and the bust is of George D. Baptiste, who was an African-American and significant conductor of the Underground Railroad. And so tonight, what makes tonight, again, so special is not only are we going to be recognizing our history and our Black History Month, but also Patsy Harris will be here in a little while to talk about her husband, Chapman Harris. Chapman was also a very significant conductor in the Underground Railroad, and so we'll get a treat in learning more about Chapman Harris. We are broadcasting live on City of Madison's YouTube channel. We'll also archive the video, and it will be available on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. I'd like to introduce our clerk treasurer, Katie Rampey, and we'll start with the roll call, clerk.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Krebs. Datillo.
Here.
Sorry, my fault. Lucy Datillo. Here. Curtis Chatham.
Here.
Mr. Bartlett.
Here.
And Mr. Datillo.
Still here. Thank you. Before getting into council's business, first matter at hand is to elect a new city council president pro tem. So we would entertain a nomination from council for president pro tem.
I move to nominate Curtis Chatham for council president pro tem.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay, we have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next order of business is the approval of the minutes from the last common council meeting, January 18th, 2022. Council, are there any amendments or modifications? We'll entertain a motion to approve or amend the minutes.
I would move that we approve the minutes from January 18th council meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. So what I'd like to do now is first talk a little bit about our history, and again, the emphasis being on Madison's role in the Underground Railroad. And as I mentioned, in a few minutes we'll have Patsy Harris here, and then Pastor Leggett will entertain us with some beautiful music that he's prepared for the evening. But I'm not sure if if the community realizes the role that the Underground Railroad and the city of Madison had and how significant it is, but in researching this, not only have we been preparing for several years to recognize those contributions and honor them through the creation of a park here in our community, but there were 8 sites across the state of Indiana that are highlighted as significant locations for the Underground Railroad, which moved slaves to freedom through the northern part of the United States to Canada. And 3 of those 8 locations are cited to be significantly done here in Jefferson County and in the city of Madison. I think it's just a fantastic contribution to the history of Madison, and the Eleutherian College there is certainly one of the areas highlighted in the state for its role in freeing slaves. So tonight I'd like to invite Sue Livers first up, and any of her guests, and we'll read the proclamation for Black History Month, and then Patsy can tell us a little bit about Chapman Harris. Pastor Johnson is here with regards to, he is also a member of our Human Relations Commissions too. Thank you guys for being here, I really appreciate it. Whereas Black History Month was adopted in 1976 to honor the significant contributions Black Americans have made to our nation and to affirm the importance of Black history in America. Black History Month is a time for citizens of our city, our state, and our country to reflect on the rich history and teachings of Black Americans and honor their progress and achievements made throughout the world. The 2022 theme for the observance is Black Health and Wellness, which takes a look at how healthcare has often underserved the African American community. And whereas the Black community has contributed much to the education, economic development, and culture of Madison for hundreds of years. Madison was a hub to the Underground Railroad movement, and the city recognizes citizens such as John Carter, Patsy and Chapman Harris, Elijah and William Anderson, John Carr, Wills Riker, George Z. Baptiste, and numerous others who were prominent in the Underground Railroad movement. Madison was home to Broadway School, the first commissioned colored school in Indiana, and our county is home to Eleutherian College, the first college in Indiana that allowed people of color to attend. Whereas many other churches and organizations in the Black American community, such as Broadway Baptist Church, St. Stephen AME Church, and Eureka Lodge, have had a positive impact on our community. And whereas the Georgetown settlement on the east end of Madison was a prominent example of a self-supporting, free Black community in the 1800s. In June 2020, the city of Madison reaffirmed its commitment to promote diversity and inclusion in the community. And the city of Madison is deeply committed to equity and inclusion and is proud to honor the history and contributions of Black Americans in our community throughout the state and our nation. Now therefore, I, Bob G. Courtney, Mayor of the City of Madison, hereby proclaim the month of February 2022 to be Black History Month. Sue and others, thank you so much for your contributions. Appreciate you all being here tonight. I'd like to present this with you. And I'd like to introduce Patsy Harris.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy that you invited me here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to come and tell you a little bit about my husband and myself. I am Patsy Harris. I was born in Kentucky, a slave. I lived with the Miller family, and for 20 years I raised their children, and I was educated in Kentucky as I took their children to school. I did everything a maid was supposed to do, and I still have my slave tag, but I also have my freedom papers, papers that say that I am a free person. Chapman worked for the Miller family for 2 years to buy my freedom. That being said, once I was free, I was allowed to move to Indiana. Chapman had come from Virginia. He had corresponded with the Carter family that had a business that was on Jefferson and 2nd Street. During that time, he felt the need to help with the Underground Railroad because in Virginia it was not a thing that the people of color were allowed to work for money. As a matter of fact, Chapman was arrested in Louisville because of all things, he was found to have flint, a knife, and what more dangerous than money? A black man was not supposed to have money, a knife, or flint. That meant he was a dangerous person. Chapman was about 6 feet tall, very dark, very imposing. In fact, they called him the Black Apostle of Freedom. You can find that in the chronicles of the Madison Courier, the Madison Gazette. We had 9 children. As a matter of fact, in the Negro registry that is located down at the courthouse, Patsy was described as being a little over 5 feet tall and very stout, with childbearing hips, and a mole on the right side of her face. My 2 oldest children worked with my husband to help slaves from here to Lancaster, to North Vernon, and then further north. We were blessed that my husband was a man of money. When he came to Virginia, he was able to buy 2.5 acres on Riker's Ridge. Once married, I was 20 and Chapman was 39 years old. He purchased 2 horses and a wagon for $75. That is found in the deeds at the courthouse. His false bottom wagon was used to transport parcels from one city to the next. I won't belabor you long. I know you have a meeting tonight, but I did want to tell you a little bit about our family and to let you know how proud we are to have lived in Madison, to have worked with the Carter family, to have worked with the Andersons, to have worked with the building of the regular Second Baptist Church on Broadway here in town. Chapman established St. Paul's Church that was located on 5th Street here. And when that church became too small for the congregation, it moved to Broadway and became the Broadway regular Second Baptist Church. At that time, people of color in this city actually worshiped at the First Baptist Church on Vine Street and the Methodist Church. But because of a difficulty with Kentucky, because of the escaping of slaves to Madison, because Kentucky being a slave state, and Madison being in Indiana, a free state, the laws did say that no people of color were allowed to move out of the city or into the city. That way they could keep track of all the people that were here and make sure that no slaves were actually hiding here. The Knights of the Golden Circle, precursors to the Klan, were living out around or stationing themselves out around Lancaster, Indiana, which also made it very difficult. But my husband, my 2 oldest boys, Charles Walker and George, did quite a bit to move people through this area. I would love to stay longer and talk to you more, but you, I know, are like me. Once the meeting begins, you're ready to go home. The meeting after the meeting usually takes the longest. But I appreciate so much you having me here tonight. I appreciate you there for inviting us to participate in tonight's program. And I hope that if you have any questions at any time about my job as a maid or a slave with the Miller family or the Baptist church or underground, that you'll feel free to give me a call or just to let me know, and we can discuss that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Everyone knows that Sue is such a valuable member of our community, but who knew she was also a great reenactor? Now we all know, and all of our viewers who will also know. And very good job. Thank you very much. And the talent continues, because if you've not had a chance to hear Pastor Leggett sing, you're in for a real treat. And so the floor is yours, Pastor. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here again. To the board, new president, and all. Thank God for just another day to be alive. Again, with Patsy Harris, most of you just seen. I've never seen it quite that short, but she is so much information that is in there that if you get to see the full reenactment, you would just love it. And so this evening, usually at my church, home church, Broadway Baptist Church, which was mentioned by Patsy earlier, is still standing today. And you can see the stone there, 1883, and it was even before then. But I would just like to do a song that I think would be fitting for this evening. Normally I have music playing with my Bluetooth for those, and it could cover a few things, so just pretend, amen. So we're going to do a song that you all know, but I just like to do a verse, and then I would like to end with another one, and we will be done. Okay, thank you so much again, Mayor Bob Courtney. And the first song is one that Martin Luther King, one of his favorite songs, and it was this song here. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn through the storms, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me on. And that was one that he enjoyed hearing, and I thank God, because that was a song that you would hear a lot of times when you hear about the movement and the Underground Railroad. You hear Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Coming for to Carry Me Home. For some of us that means one thing, maybe just the old Negro national hymns, but for slaves it meant freedom. Whenever you heard certain songs, you were ready to run. You were ready to look for that time of freedom. And this next song I want to do just to be maybe a verse or two at the most, if it sounds
Take your
okay.
time. No, please.
Okay. All right. And this one you've heard, and I just like it because I think it's so fitting, because I do believe in our nation today we do need prayer. Not just black, white, yellow, green, red, but all of us. Because there's a lot of things that are happening. And so this song is just, what a friend we have in Jesus. And it's a favorite of mine. I still get nervous. I wouldn't believe I preach every Sunday, but here we go. What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. friends despise, forsake thee. Take it to the Lord in prayer. His arms he'll take and shield thee. Thy will find a solace there. What a friend we have in Jesus, and hopefully we have a friend in one another. Thank you, Mayor, again. God bless you.
What a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, we'll turn to the less entertaining part of our agenda. That's some of the business we have to take care of tonight, even though the agenda is pretty light. We do not have any resolutions or bills. We do have some board appointments to discuss, Council. Council, included in your package was an updated roster, I believe. And there are three, it looks like, three appointments to discuss tonight. First would be trying to round out the formation of the Public Arts Commission. It's a 5-member commission. There are 2 memberships remaining. I nominate as a mayor appointment with council consent, Aaron Kelsey and Greg Goodnight. I'd like to have a motion to approve those from council, please. You can open it up for discussion.
I move to consent to the mayor's appointments of Aaron Kelsey and Greg Goodnight to the Public Arts Commission.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Next is a council appointment and to the Riverfront District Committee. I mentioned that we have this committee. It's already been established, and it is the committee that's responsible for evaluating applications for 3-way liquor, 1, 2, and 3-way liquor licenses that the city would control in the district, and nominate Tony Steinhardt III, our new Economic Development Director, to replace Matt Worth, who is our former Economic Development Director, to that committee. Entertain a motion for him, please.
I would move that we accept that nomination.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. And lastly, there is a renewal of an appointment to the Economic Development Commission. That is a 3-person commission. Dr. Gail Spalding is the current city council appointment to that commission, and nominating her appointment to be extended for a new 2-year term. I'd like a motion for that, please.
Make a motion to approve a renewal for Dr. Gail Spalding. I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. And moving on with our agenda for tonight, we will start with some reports of city officials, and let's start with Chief John Walls.
Well, the pastor too, certainly hard to follow, but I'll give it my best.
You can do it.
That was awesome. Thank you very much. Very nice. So in front of you, council, you have a copy of the 2021 final stats of the Madison Police Department. I'll go over a few highlights of them. Our drug arrests actually had a 14% increase in narcotic-related arrests in 2021 over 2020. In 2020, I think we had like a 60% increase from the prior year of 2019. So very proud of the effort the officers have put forth. We had a total of 195 narcotic-related drug arrests in the city of Madison in 2021. Our total calls, we actually had 284 more calls in 2021 than we did in 20. But we actually had 100 less arrests in 2021 than we did over 2020. So although the drug arrest went up, overall arrest was a significant, I'd say significant decrease, of just slightly over 100. We've heard the call from our citizens about our traffic, and as this council well knows, and the city well knows, of course our administration, we've put forth a lot of effort in increasing our traffic patrol and our traffic patrol out within the city. So a big move this year for our department was to create a traffic division, which we have, which essentially is 2.5 men. We have a part-timer, Captain Stephan, and 2 full-time officers who work our traffic detail. So our numbers for January, these were quite eye-opening. We had 174 warnings issued in January. 50 citations. Of those 50 citations, 27 of those were semis, just solely on Main Street.
What was that number?
We had 50 citations, with 27 of those being semis on Main Street.
Thank you.
No longer give warnings unless they've got a really good excuse why they're on Main Street. And Captain Stephan is, I'm sure he's heard them all, but so far I don't think he's found very many that he's let slide. So 27 is significant. And I hope everybody is noticing the difference. I've got a lot of calls, seeing a lot more officers out, and especially with the semis. I think it's really taken hold. And not only we issue these, but we're also working with the state to ask them to continue to improve our signage, which they have. They put an overhead sign on the east end, and so we want to be fair and give them fair warning. We even work with a lot of the GPSs and ask them to put a red streak on Main or whatever they put on their warnings, just to let them know that Main Street is off limits to the semis. So hopefully our citizens and our council, hopefully we've noticed a big difference, because I'm really appreciative of the effort that they've put forth. With our traffic officers, we're also spreading them out to do community events. So we actually had what I would call 56 community events, however we want to term those, but that's including foot patrol on Main. We've been monitoring our Liddy Milton traffic with our officers. I think that's been resolved. The backup on 3rd Street, I appreciate the parents actually working with us on that. They did a majority of it, but the officers have been monitoring that. Pope John, we've spent some time with Pope John putting on classes and doing some walkthroughs, and of course we'll be doing those at the public schools as well. However, they do have their own school resource officers, so we've been to Pope John and Shaw. And we've been out at the Boys and Girls Club and visited there as well, so we really want to increase upon that and even look to put some programs into the Boys Club, in which officers can, on a regular basis, have programs within the Boys and Girls Club. We feel that's very important. Top of that, we had 14 tow stickers that we put on vehicles. A lot of those were vehicles that are on abandoned property. We've really been looking to clean up that situation. We have removed several vehicles, so that's a 21-day process. We'll put our 20-day process. We'll put the stickers on, notify them. Then we go even the extra step, which I don't believe we're required to do, but we want to be as fair as we can with the property owners and put an additional 3-day tow sticker on the very end. And at that point in time, if it's not removed, then we remove it. And these are essentially vehicles of 3 years or older and in not ready condition. So we do all we can to work with the homeowners. But at the end of the day, we got to get these vehicles out of these yards and side streets, and it just doesn't do any of our neighborhoods any good to leave those sitting there for year after year. So that's something that we really try to kick into gear. So at the end of the day, our traffic division had 279 total contacts in the month of January. So very appreciative of their efforts, and again, I hope the citizens are noticing a difference, and we will continue to work hard on that. They'll in the summer months they'll transform and obviously stay on our traffic, but also transform into our gator or golf patrol or golf cart patrol and our bike patrols as well. So they're going to be seen out there quite a bit. So we couldn't have done this without this council giving us the additional assistance that we needed, and we're moving forward there. So we're in a prior process now to hire 4 officers. 2 of them are those the addition this council provided for this year. and then 2 are from officers who retired or left. So we got a really good pool that we're getting ready to draw from, and I'm really excited about the potential of the new officers coming on board with PD. So that's essentially all I have, other than Officer Nicole Midget she's been selected as our new K-9 officer. She will be attending a school in March to be a new K-9 handler for our department. Those K-9s are extremely valuable. I'm sure you read quite often where they get us places we couldn't go if we didn't have those. So we're excited about Nicole going to Little Rock, Arkansas for her training. And that K-9 was paid for by a grant from our community foundation. So we're very fortunate to have that. Having said that, I'll take any questions that you may have.
Not a question, just a comment.
Yes, sir.
The reduction of 18-wheelers coming down Main Street is absolutely noticeable. And Officer Stephan, I've seen him several times out having a conversation with the driver. So
Yeah, I think he enjoys those conversations too.
Doing a really good job.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they're doing an awesome job. But thank you for that, Councilman. I appreciate those words.
I noticed we don't have anything for golf carts on here. Are they still not no real issue or concerns or?
You know, we could add that, Councilman, and that's something we'll look at. But no, we don't. I mean, we do have the occasional complaint, in the summer months. That may not be a bad stat to add, and we'll certainly do that. It's not a bad idea, but we will get that occasional complaint of maybe some people feel that it's being driven recklessly, or maybe too many people on there. But I think that's probably a stat we should add. Then we can monitor that as well and know where we stay with our golf carts. It's a good idea. I like that.
Chief, how are the officers embracing the new initiative you have, which is to really step up the contact that they're having with the public and foot patrols and just a higher level of engagement?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been positive, and what the mayor is speaking of, I've implemented starting this year a quota of tickets, because I've never really believed that an officer should be given a quota of tickets, but I have given them a quota of contacts. So a contact would be a citation or a warning, arrest, whatever it may be for those 3 categories. But I've always feared, you get officers out and really working hard and doing a great job, and then sometimes after they bust their tail in for a few months, they look back and think, why am I working so hard when this guy or this girl hasn't done anything in a couple of months? So I'm encouraging them, or they will, as part of the chief's directive, get out and make those necessary contacts, and I think that will just feed even more into what we're trying to do once they get into that mindset of making these contacts, and hopefully they'll pick up their game as well. So we'll see how that goes. But I haven't had any complaints, but I'm sure there's been some. I probably just haven't heard. Sometimes that happens.
What she didn't point out statistically was almost 12,000 response calls throughout the course of 2021. Large volume of responses across a whole spectrum of types of activity that's being collected and categorized. And most people think that we're always fully staffed, but maybe Chief talked a little bit about the staffing challenges we've had really over the last couple of years, heading into the 3rd year of COVID as well.
Yeah, with the COVID, and we addressed the council with you. I said I'm very appreciative of you listening and understanding that. Although you may show 33 officers, which will be 33 officers on paper, you never have your 33 officers. You have 7 or 8 officers that serve our military, which we're very proud of and very supportive of. Then inevitably you're going to have officers in school, you're going to have officers sick, you're just simply going to be short. Officers leave, and you staff a figure, we can't replace those. So, generally we'll find ourselves, 4 or 5, 6, sometimes 7 or 8 officers short, and that can be very difficult. So with the addition of officers, it allows us to, obviously, the most important thing is maintain our presence on the streets and respond to our citizens' calls, but then it allows us to do these extra steps that we're able to do now. So although we show a number on paper, very seldom do you ever have your full allotment of officers. So we're appreciative of this council and this administration stepping up and recognizing that and giving us additional help we need. I will say one stat that jumped out on us what's out here was our guns. We had 61 firearms taken off the streets compared to 25 the year before. And I think a lot of that is our active officers making traffic stops and being proactive on the traffic stops. I think a big part of that is the reason why that number is up considerably from 25 to 61. But on the downside and the scary side, we're finding firearms in vehicles with drugs, and that's never good either. But the more we can get those off the street, obviously the safer we're going to be too. So.
Chief, I want to thank you and your team, and particularly the detective resources that we have who are following up on hundreds of cases, and the improvement in evidence collection and management that's occurred at Madison Police Department. I think the police department's doing a great job. Thank you. Lots of communities across the country, as you probably see, are having alarming rises in crime. I think our communities and our police department, as well as that of the county and Hanover and the state police that work in our community, are doing a very good job of keeping our community safe. Really appreciate all of you.
Council, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'd like to invite Matt Woolard, our Director of Parks. Did you get a haircut?
I did, yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Kind of noticeable.
Normally every day I walk into the haircut, he goes, high and tight.
Yeah, high and tight.
Starting off with our programming, we currently have boys and girls youth basketball that's taking place. This is on Thursday evenings. We do have a few weeks remaining of this. With our weather last week, we moved that Thursday night game to tonight actually. So 2 games this week, but primarily just playing once a week. Looking forward, we do have baseball and softball registration. That's going to open up the first week of March. And then currently ongoing, we've got adult basketball is going to be starting on February 20th. Games will be taking place on Sundays at the Brown Gym. We currently have 8 teams registered, and hopefully we can get just a couple more by the end, but looking good for that moving forward. And then last thing for our programming, seniors, still everything is going on with our programming at the Senior Center itself, but we were hosting our senior dances on Friday nights. We have postponed those until March 4th. When those will resume, we have a full slate for every Friday in March moving forward. Looking at our campground, we reopened our campground on April 1st, but we did start our reservations on January 27th. We moved to a new platform, Astro. It is where we're at now, and we are also on the Reserve America database. So this is a new booking software that we have transitioned to. It shows, this is essentially through a Book Your Site website. This is kind of the primary go-to when you're looking for campground. It's kind of what I call the Google of campground searches. When you go on there, that's where you're going to be looking to try to select those sites. But when you type in Madison, Indiana, or their zip code, we are going to be the very first thing that pops up for you. And just to give you a little background too on this as well, we previously, in 2020 and prior, all reservations were done manually. They were just handwritten down. You'd call into the campground host, and he would just keep a little logbook of it. And in 2021, we moved to doing it with the online platform, but we chose RecDesk. And then now for 2022, we've made this move to a strictly campground software. And looking back at January and February of 2021, we were able to do about 35,000 in reservations. And then just as an example of the success that we've had so far, within 5 days of our new software, we've done nearly 50,000. So we see this as a huge success. Everything has gone very smooth with that. And I'm very happy with our overall, the response that we're getting from our customers. Just a few things about sites maybe going a little bit too fast, but that's a good problem for us, ultimately. Last night, we had our park board meeting for February, and the park commissioners went ahead and voted for Lake Coast Canine Dog Park. They voted to remove the fee associated with our dog park. So previously, that was $20 for the year. We took a look at it, kind of across as a quality of life standard. It really only generated about $1,700 in 2021, and ultimately we felt like that was something that we could kind of incur that cost and still give the community something of value. With the numerous amount of the events that we host throughout the city, all the tourism that we get, we feel like being that kind of prime location there on the riverfront is going to be more beneficial for our city moving forward. if we just treat that as a free use facility. So we are currently in the progress of taking down those pin keypad to where they kind of locked it to where you couldn't get in. We will be reimbursing everybody that's purchased theirs for 2022. And then we will update our signage too to where it is a enter at your own risk, because we will no longer be requiring shots. It's just you're supposed to get the shots anyway for Indiana, so we're just going to abide by that. With the park board in mind, last night we did, per our ordinance, have our vote on officers. So Mr. Joe Bronkella is our new park board president, and Ms. Carla Krebs is our new vice president. Along with, we did obtain 2 new members at the beginning of this year, and that was Carla Krebs and Phil King. And then lastly, just on a little staffing note, we have hired a few people for our seasonal staff. We'll continue to beef that up as we progress and get a little bit warmer out. But some good news, Chad Ison, who's been serving as our program coordinator, he was effective on January 31st, promoted to deputy director. And so we're very satisfied with the work that he's been doing across the entire Parks Department. He's really been my right-hand man throughout everything that we've been doing with all our different transitions. And so we're very pleased with his performance and how that all is progressing. But that is all that I have. If you have any questions now.
Why have the renovations of the bathhouse at the campground been postponed?
Yeah, that we are just looking to do something cosmetic for this year. That bathhouse is in need of renovations, but we want to do it right, and that's going to require basically a total tear down, looking at the logistics of it, what's our return of investment going to be, doing a complete market study, and frankly, we don't have the funds at this time to perform that without incurring some debt. Now, the campground is profitable, so that's something where we can go out and spend maybe a little bit more, but we want to make sure that that's done correctly, so we're just kind of tabling that and going to incorporate that with our 5-year master plan.
Do you have a timeline within that 5-year plan for when that will get done?
We haven't specified where that's going to fit in that whole criteria, but it is one of the priorities needs list.
And the master plan will be presented publicly at the next park
Yes.
board meeting, is that correct?
Yes, Ricky
They've been working on the master plan for about a year, almost a year.
Ratio Architecture will be there at our March meeting to discuss that with the public. We did submit our rough draft in January when that was due, and then our final draft is due April 15th for that 5-year plan.
To DNR?
Yes.
Yes.
How fast did the campground sell out for Regatta Week?
About 5 minutes.
How many sites are down there?
34.
A lot of great things happening in parks. We're transforming how the transactions are processed, how it's managed. We've quadrupled revenues, profits at the campground. We're on target for reopening Crystal Beach, which is a $2.7 million major restoration. We've cut the deficits at Sunrise by 50%. We've dropped dog park fees, and we've also now invested in more in youth programming and slashed youth programming fees and made them more affordable across the community by about 50%, roughly. Our goal there is to grow participation, but also make it affordable and really reach out to the youth of our community, because outside of public safety, parks is the highest factor in quality of life here in Madison.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Matt. Hannah, Community Relations.
Did you get a haircut, Mayor?
Well, thank you for noticing. Yes, I did.
All right, hey council. So in regards to last year, city events, 2021 we raised just over $100,000 to help cover the cost of the city-sponsored events. This was because of all the sponsorship we received from our business community. This did not fully cover the cost of the events, but came very close. This year I have hired Ashley White. She's joined my team as an event coordinator and administrative assistant, so she's going to be handling all the city brand events, and she's already secured a majority of our contracts this year. Gives us a better idea when it comes to budgeting to have those secure. And then I've hired Keely, who's helping as a communications assistant. She'll be helping with the marketing of these events as well. In regards to website and social media, we're consistently updating our social media channels and our city website. And we are working to have some more consistent messaging across the board. So I'm not sure if you're aware, and I hope you are, and I hope you follow both of our accounts, but we have a Parks Facebook page and a city Facebook page. So make sure you follow both of them. We're trying to grow the Parks one. Oh, and there's a Sunrise golf course page. So make sure you're following all of them. And my team's working on, which you'll see in your packets, I included a rough draft document of our branding guidelines. We have a lot of people who make posts for our social media channels, so we're trying to get them all on the same board. So this is something we're working through. If you have any comments on it, feel free to shoot them my way. I know a couple of you already talked to me about it today, so just let me know. In regards to internships, those are coming out of my office. We have refined our internship program. You can search internship on our website. You'll be brought to our internship page, which has the application on there. We've received a handful of some great looking candidates for the summer, and they are going to be interviewed in March, but currently we have 2 interns this semester. We have one in Parks and then one in policy, and they're doing a great job. So if you guys ever have anything policy related, let me know. Our intern would be happy to look into things for you. She loves the research. In regards to animal shelter, which I know is county, but you all appointed me to the animal shelter board, I figured I'd give you a quick update. So since my appointment, we have hired a new director. Her name is Lindsay Stoltz. If you haven't had the chance to meet her, you should head up there. She'd be glad to meet with any of you. She's hired some new staff, and the city street department actually helped to clean up the outside of the building to get it painted and everything. Lindsay and her team have been cleaning up the inside. It needs some work, but she's doing the best she can right now. And the board's actually meeting mid-February to have a work session to review policies and procedures. So if anyone has any comments, and I know Patrick, you emailed me about a TNR program in the past, so if you have anything that you would like to see happen with our city-county shelter, please send those my way and we can see what we can do. Lastly, I didn't include it in your packets, but the hearts on Main Street. You've probably seen them, and I think they look fabulous. Those were actually made by our street department, so Dave Kibble made those for us, and then we lined them with the street department, not we. I tried to do one, and it was terrible. The street department lined them with lights and then put them up on the lamppost for us, but that was a Dave Kibble project, and it actually saved us a lot of money to do it in-house. So that's all I have.
Great job on the lights and on the reports. And again, if you haven't had a chance to be on our website and kind of the redesign that we did, almost, has it been quite a year since we did the complete redesign?
Yeah, March will be a year.
March, it's so much more informative, and the information from our meetings are all archived there. There's an action center, there's all our press releases are there on the launch page.
And we launched YouTube.
What's that?
We launched YouTube too.
And
Don't
yes.
forget that.
Yeah, we launched YouTube, so a lot has been going on. And what you mentioned, Ashlyn and Keeley, they were 2 of your interns a year ago, right?
Yeah, correct. You've actually met them when they've been embarrassed in city council being recognized for their internships, but I made them job offers afterwards because they did such a great job for me.
So I know your office is handling the legislative side of things with ordinances and updates to codes. Where are you guys starting with that, or and maybe that's more for the mayor, because I know we were talking about ordinances being outdated and cleaning things up. Are we starting in a certain area? Or?
I think we need to get together. I have probably a list of about 10 that I think are good ones to start. Some are very, very complicated. Some have some easy fixes. At the next council meeting, for example, we'll have an amendment to our Cable Advisory Board ordinance that hasn't been done since 2001.
2001.
2001. So Hannah and her group's been working with Councilman Bartlett on that. Then there are several things like that. We have an interlocal agreement that's being refreshed, which is on the 911 Advisory Board. That one is coming through, but I have a list of about 10, Councilman, that I'd love to share with you, and then we can add more. But it includes, as we mentioned, Cable Advisory Board, public safety, food trucks is one, virtual meetings. There's just a whole spectrum of things. Stormwater is a big, heavy lifting, complicated ordinance that we need to really evaluate. I'm not sure we can wait until the task force that the state is creating to do their work for about a year because we really need some structure there. But we should have a work session, can talk together on maybe establishing those priorities. And then the great thing is now we have a resource that can work with council and do research and drafting and take direction. And I think that will allow us to make a bigger impact on ordinances that need to be updated or new ordinances that need to be created to just make our policy making more effective.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you. Good work. And street superintendent, Superman, or I should say Tony the Tiger Sorrells. You know why he's called Tony the Tiger?
Because he's great.
Because he's great. Sorry.
Or great.
Yeah, great, that's right.
Sorry.
Good evening, council. Last week's over with. It's an interesting week. Got some numbers here for you. We worked 160 hours during the snow event. We drove 1,617 miles and used 238 tons of salt.
Just in those 2 days? Or 3 days? Wow.
Yeah. I need to thank Chief DeVries and the firemen and Chief Wallace and his officers for helping us out. They made our job easier, took care of a lot of stuff for us, so I appreciate that. Hannah mentioned the hearts. We're working on all the equipment up at Sunrise and Rucker. It's been a while since those machines have been gone through really well, and we're finding some problems, but getting them fixed, so we'll be ready to go here in just a couple weeks. It'll be here before you know it. You cut your grass. We did a little work up at Rucker. The Parks Department wants to it's called skinning the grass off of Field 3 and Field 5, I believe. That will let us bring in some more tournaments and stuff. So we got Field 3 finished, and then the ground froze, so we had to stop. But we'll get up there and get the other field taken care of, and get some field mix hauled in, make it a lot nicer this year. Our Parks Department guys and a few of my street guys, we've been working on the picnic tables. We've got about 110 picnic tables, and we're replacing all the boards on the top and the seats. So painting the metal frames, getting everything looking nice and neat, fixed up. So that's all I've got.
Tony didn't mention anything about the transfer station, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to share some statistics about what was processed in 2021 through our transfer station. We processed almost 9,000 tons of trash through our transfer station. 637 tons of recyclables was processed. If you recall, toward the middle of last year, we entered into a trash services agreement with Jefferson County. We processed 1,300 tons of trash from Jefferson County collection sites. To support flood mitigation efforts, flood recovery efforts from the June 18th flood, we had free trash removal of flood-related debris. That was 160 tons that we removed off of the affected area, which was concentrated in the North Walnut Street area. So overall, that was the highest. I'm looking at the last 10 years, and that is the most trash processed in the past decade. A lot of work happening not only on the streets, but keeping our community clean. It's not just the trash or the sidewalks, but it's, as he's mentioning, working around the clock like they did last week to clear our roads so that our community can traverse across the city safely. And they were out all night long, constantly. So great job by everybody in our street department. And then when they're not busy doing all that, They can fix anything, build anything. We've been working on a lot of document removal from our retention here. We took care of all that. I don't know how many tons. Did we get a record on that? How many tons that was? That just happened because we're starting a project upstairs. But they do so much for our community, and they are, you know, one of the unsung heroes that really make a difference all across town. And we are ramping up our festival season. We have every festival that we've had and some new ones coming back, and they are in the middle of all the preparations and cleanup associated with festivals too. So it's just a tremendous amount of work that they do for the community. We did just execute a new 4-year agreement with DOC for a renewal of 2 work crews there, pending, you know, quarantine issues that they've had substantially over the last 2 years. We'll have some DOC crew back out there working across the community, and they are invaluable as well, particularly when we get into spring and summer, where there's a lot of outdoor maintenance that's required. So it takes a lot to operate a city that never sleeps, even the size of our community. Good job, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I know we have an executive session here, so we'll wrap up in just a few minutes, but now we'll turn to public comment section. If there's anybody here that would like to approach the mayor's office or council, please come to the podium, identify yourself, name and address, please. Welcome.
I'm Deanna Shelley.
Ask you at the podium, thank you. Get you on camera there and also microphone. Thank you, Deanna.
Deanna Shelley, 120 Wall Street, right downtown. I was glad to hear there was so much work being done on the semis, because in my drive from the west end to here, there were 2. So I was wondering, the question is, what are they missing? And
What are the semis missing?
yeah, they can't see the truck route, or is there a common
Yeah.
denominator?
You know, it varies. Very good question. Some don't. Some will say, yeah, I knew it, but I thought I could slip through. You know, it varies from the reasons for coming through. But we do want to continue to try to improve on all the notification we can give them not to.
I was glad to hear that. I did not know. So
And I'll just mention too that not all semis are
Yes.
disallowed. So the ordinance actually makes exceptions for certain types of transportation to come through the city, local deliveries, agriculture, municipal, tourism, those that are at or below the weight limit. So you might see a truck and it could be perfectly fine because they're on their way to the consolidated grain barge, for example, to unload.
I saw a load of tires. So, but anyway, I just want to thank the city for the great job you did on the Broadway fountain area at Christmas. It's beautiful. And the hearts, the lighted hearts are a great touch. So I appreciate those.
Thank you.
So I've done that, and I've done 1 and 2. Now, I heard a rumor, hopefully it's just a rumor, that there's 10 to 30 houses maybe scheduled for demolition, and I don't know where, if it's downtown or just on the hilltop. So, any comments? Is that on the books
Never heard
anywhere?
that, no, never heard that, but,
Glad to hear it.
yeah. But, our building and planning department's not here, but I can tell you, I am not aware of, historic properties in our historic district scheduled for demolition now. So I don't know where that would come from, so I'm not aware of it, Deanna.
Okay, great. Let's see. So that was number 3. Number 4. This is the love of my heart, Crystal Beach. I know I'm getting into the game here on your plans, not at the 11th hour, but the 11:30 hour. So, when I went by, I saw the blocks on the east side, inside the fence. And it made me ask, are we really gonna put an elevator on the east side? And I hope not, because that's the impact side of that beautiful structure that only we have, and the only one in Indiana, maybe one other place, but we are the sole restorers, the keepers of this jewel. And for to 39 to now, it has basically not changed, and that's its beauty. I heard it, at one time that we're going to have to break through the stone walls, which I really, really oppose. Is there any comment on that? Is that in the plans?
The design for Coastal Beach has been in the works and approved through a variety of venues, including Historic District Board Review, the state that provided the grant, Redevelopment Commission, and accessibility was the primary issue with Crystal Beach. So yes, there is an elevator being installed on the east side, and that's at elevation.
Can it be moved to the west?
No.
Is there a major reason?
Engineering wise, it wouldn't be allowed. But the contract's already been let by Board of Public Works. They're already 50% under construction, so there's no opportunity to make a major change like that. We love Crystal Beach, and a lot of thought went into this, and we believe that was the best design based on architects, engineers, designers, historical consultants, and it will be ready for the 2022 pool season at the end of May.
Is this the final say-so from the DNR? I mean, I heard that mentioned in some capacity.
Well, DNR's role, as our Parks Director was mentioning, was we have a requirement every 5 years to present to them a master plan for our Parks Department, because we are frequently receiving grants for improvements in our parks and trail systems. So that was the reference to DNR. DNR would have had a minor role in the restoration of Crystal Beach because of the construction in the floodplain. Yes.
Because I heard at one time we're going to break through the wall so we can do handicap entrance to the pool, which I couldn't understand since it is just pretty well easy access through the door. I mean, it's all flat.
Yeah, I mean, the elevator is necessary in order to provide ADA accessibility to the second floor, not to the pool itself. But there is ADA improvements being made to the entire pool structure, which is a federal requirement.
Yeah, I think that. Okay, so would the entrance to the elevator be going through the front door?
Well, there will probably be access to in several points to the elevator. Again, I don't have a plan in front of me, so if you want to come to the building planning office, Nicole Schell, who is our city planner, has the plans there. Our building inspector is also located there, so they could more articulately answer those types of design and engineering questions you're asking.
Would that be at any time? That's available?
Yes, anytime during office hours.
Okay. Well, I know, I'm sorry I didn't bring my energies to this before, but I took a lot of energy and care the first time someone said to me, well, the pool is going on the hill and there is nothing you can do about it. Well, I really, really got to work, because I know that is a gem of the city.
We agree. That's
And
why
it
we're
touches-
investing almost $3 million in extending the life of the pool.
Well, that's great if it doesn't alter a great deal of its look. gonna have concrete blocks stacked up on the outside?
Might just ask you to visit with our city planner, and she can answer all your questions about. And they also have renderings there, Deanna, that they can share with you.
Now, will the final decision be made here?
The project's already under construction. The Board of Public Works let that contract months ago, so it's been under construction for months.
It has. So work is going on in there now?
Has been since before the end of the year.
What, can you name one?
It's
thing
opening
they've done?
May 22nd.
With all of these things?
It's going to be, the pool's going to be turned back over to the city for the 2022 pool season with a substantial completion date May 22nd.
That's a lot.
We love our
I'm at the
Crystal Beach.
12:30 hour, not the 11:30.
We love our Crystal Beach, so,
Yes,
and a
we
lot of
do.
care is, I mean, Dan, I appreciate your remarks. A lot of care has gone into the preserving that pool because it is invaluable to our district and to the quality of life in Madison.
Well, maybe you can make the facade appear stone-like on the podium, but I will have to go on and ask, so. Well, I'm glad to hear about the semis, and, I have another question, but I'll save it for another time. My true love is Crystal Beach.
And feel free to come in and see me because I'd love to chat with you more and answer any other questions you might have.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Nina.
Hey, I'm Julie Patterson. I live at 714 Walnut. I wanted to say thank you so much for the performances we had earlier from Ms. Sue and Pastor Leggett. Those were amazing. And I was hoping, because you teased me with that painting out there in your post, that you might have an update about Georgetown Park, given that it's Black History Month.
We continue to work on that with the couple of members of that committee and our city planner. So we don't have an announcement as of yet, but we do continue to work on it. And that painting there was done by Steve Bickus. Colleen had commissioned that. The Georgetown Park Committee had commissioned that. So we wanted to share that. The bust is done. So that bronze bust is done and it's in storage, and now what we're working on are the remaining details of exactly where the park's going to be located and what it's going to look like. That's a fantastic rendering of proposed Georgetown Park.
I will just say while I'm standing up here, I know that there's been some discussion about it being in the parking lot of the old Royal parking lot on Walnut, and that's possibly been taken off the table. I really like that space because Walnut is lacking in green space, and I think it would be a nice place to recognize, since that is the Georgetown neighborhood, where my understanding is that a lot of the Underground Railroad activity happened. But I'll go to those appropriate meetings and say that there as well, so I did want to put that on there. I did have one other question, and I was taken by Hannah talking about the branding and all of that being, you know, everything being on point. And before I came, I was, as we are wont to do, scrolling through Facebook, and I came across the Jefferson County Health Department's post. It happened about an hour before I got here, and it's just announcing that we're staying at a red advisory for next week. There's a downward trend in the number of positive cases, but we're still facing high community spread. So their recommendations are that we universally mask indoors, regardless of vaccination status, and while gathering with those outside of your immediate household. And that's been there's been a disconnect, I think, between that part of the government and this part of the government. And I was just wondering if anybody was wanting to speak about that and why we're not following those recommendations from the Jefferson County Health Department about masking indoors.
Those were recommendations, and as you know, Governor Holcomb did extend the public health emergency for a couple of reasons, and for at least another month. We are following safety protocols, but that is a personal choice. We do a lot of social distancing. But we do not have any vaccine or face mandates that anybody in the community is subjected to. There are no mandates, and so we are free to make our choices.
I just worry that it sends a message as an educator and a mom, that it sends a message that we don't have to listen to certain parts of, certain experts. I'm assuming, I don't know how the Jefferson County Health Department works 100%, but they were appointed to those positions because they are people who do science and doctors, and I would think that we would want to, show that we respect those people's opinions and take their recommendations. So that's what I wanted to
Appreciate it.
say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, moving on. Anybody else? Couple quick updates. We're doing a tremendous amount of planning on economic development right now. In fact, our executive session will be immediately following this. Jefferson County is leading majority of the state in unemployment right now. Our current unemployment rate is 1.1%. We have a lot of work to do, in my opinion, which means there's opportunity there. Even when you have extremely low unemployment like that, one of the statistics that I think we should be observing is what our workforce participation rate is. So we have some work to do there. But we also have some opportunity. As you know, there's a lot of fantastic indicators happening across the community with regards to rising wages, low unemployment, stable to increasing property values, and tremendous amount of investment happening across the community. Over almost $100 million of building permits value was issued in 2021. So we are working with industry and private investors, homeowners, business owners across the community. There is a tremendous momentum of everything positive for Madison. Lastly, I want to mention that I will be presenting the 2022 State of the City Address. That'll be on February the 24th, 5:30 p.m., beginning at 6. So doors open 5:30, and we are being hosted at the Cotton Mill. So fantastic venue that City of Madison was a partner in, and we will have the State of the City Address there for 2022. So we'll be compiling that to share. We'll also be launching a series there called Madison on the Move. So we've got a little short treat to share with the community there. While it won't be streamed live, we will be filming the state of the city, and then that will be on our YouTube page and on city. You can access it through the city website. Council, do you have anything to add? Our next meeting is Tuesday, February 22nd, 5:30. I appreciate everybody being here tonight, and I want to ask, do we have any students here from the high school? Sorry I didn't get a chance to say hello to you. Are you Mr. Barger's class?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, and thank you all for being here. If there's any questions you might have relative to how our meetings are conducted, in future meetings you'll be able to see where we're talking about resolutions and ordinances and how policies are created across the city and the types of discussions that we have. But I think tonight was a good example of really what sharing across our community means, and we love having everybody come out and attend our city council meetings. So those who can't be here can obviously watch on our YouTube channel, and then or watch the meeting later. So thank you all both for being here, and thanks to all of our guests as well. Council will have a motion to adjourn.
I would move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
I might have posed one time just for
Will you please, because you know what? If you oppose it, I promise. Before it goes.